We're live on the air, so don't say any F's and stuff.
But I have to put her on the side and worry about the boys because they're still here.
Oh,
Nobody's.
you're not a cop.
No, you're.
Dude, I don't love my daughter or some shit like you're holier than now or something.
There is no investigation.
How's it going, everybody? Good to be here. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the lab. Interesting. How is everybody tonight? Happy Memorial Day weekend. Always we have like a million MBD Production Studios. You're in the lab with your host, Joshua D. We have a military.
There is no investigation. This boy has.
Not really.
This young man.
A lot of graveyards. All right, you two, shut up. Grave sites. They have a military section. My grandfather's buried there, and they do a wonderful job putting flags out. I mean, they really, a lot of volunteers come out and do it. So it's really an awesome thing. And so, so thank you to all the veterans, and awesome. All right, well, it's great to be here. How's everybody doing? Been a couple days since I've been on here. Contrary to what people might lead you to believe, they say I'm on here 24/7 talking about the wells. Well, it's not 24/7, but guess what? We're back, and typically in lab fashion, come back when we have something to talk about. Now, you can also catch me on the Lab After Dark, where you never know what's going to happen there, and that's always interesting as well. Let me see. So let me pop the chat out here. Makes it much easier to see. Okay. Love Lab After. Hey, some do, some hate it. It's funny. It's not for everybody. Trust me. It's an acquired taste, like most things around here. But anyway, let's just get into what we need to get into. I'm going to take some phone calls tonight against my better judgment, but you know what? It's been a while since I've heard from you guys specifically, and I definitely want to hear how you feel. Now, obviously, I've been listening to the things that are going on in the Summer Wells case. Now, most people would say, well, you know, there's not much, nothing much has changed. Nothing much is, you know, it's just all the same information, all the same everything. And yes and no. Now, there are times where people bring stuff up where they make kind of what I would say mountains out of a molehill. And then sometimes there's real reasons for, I don't want to say concern, but you know, you kind of go, oh wow, like that's interesting. Now, Dawn's, I wouldn't say Dawn's handlers, because these aren't really, like, everybody thinks that they're going to handle Dawn fine. Like, they're going to give him some magical advice that's going to cure all of his problems, him and Candace. And it's the same advice. By the way, it's the same advice that I've given Dawn and Candace. And you know that is stay off YouTube. But guess what? They can't. Now, I don't know why. Now, Don says it's because of the mob and when people come after him. And I guess I can understand. Geez, I don't know what happened there. I can definitely understand. I'm blaming that one on Peyton. I can definitely understand that you would want to defend yourself against all types of criticism. And you're not going to get any I don't know. I can understand why somebody would do that. But what I can understand are people that are giving Don advice over and over and over. He's not interested. Don's going to do what Don wants to do. Candace is going to do what Don tells her to do. And then that's really all there is to it. Okay. But with them now leaving Tennessee, and by the way, we don't know, because I've heard Don go back and forth on this, if they're actually moving or not, but they have a child missing from Tennessee. There's an active Amber Alert in Tennessee for their child, Summer Wells, who has not been seen since June 15th of 2021. We're now pressing June of 2023. And it's been a long time since anybody has heard or seen Summer. Now, far be it from me to put myself directly in their shoes, but I'm going to give it a try. One thing that I could say, and this is just me, that I wouldn't leave the state that my daughter went missing in. I have always found that odd. I wouldn't do it. Not because I'm some sanctimonious person, not because I'm better than anybody. I just wouldn't do it. I would not leave that state. Now, if I got a tip about somewhere else, I would definitely go to wherever the tip came from. And Truth Seeker, thank you for that very much. But I would not leave that state. Now, could it be because of harassment? Yes. Could it be because Don can't get work? Yes, of course. Is he well known in Tennessee? Is Candace well known in East Tennessee? Yeah, I would think so. But they haven't officially moved. They're not hiding where they are at. I don't believe that they're getting ready to run. I promise you, I don't think that. But I do think that the future is so uncertain for them. And it's starting to show in the things that Don is saying. Now, Don is a panel hopper these days, and I'm not gonna sit here and trash Don. I'm just gonna tell you how I feel about this. And then I will open up. So I'll open up the phone lines, and then we can go from there. But so pay attention here. Don, when he went on the Glazer, I think his name was the Ham Glazer, but he went on like Mr. Share. He's literally on a worldwide tour. It's awesome. It is. Yeah, Don said that they had to leave because he couldn't get any work in East Tennessee. But listen to this. Don really starts talking about how he's hopeless. And I've had this conversation with Don before. And by the way, if there's anybody out there feeling that way, they need to seek help 100%. When you feel like you're just it doesn't matter who you are. Don Wells included, Don, Candace, whoever, it doesn't matter. If you're feeling like that, you absolutely should reach out and get some help, which was good advice. And this is kind of what Don turned it into.
no helpline. There is no helpline for me. If I call the helpline in Hawkins County, they're going to come out and arrest me and put me in 23-hour lockdown. That's the helpline I get, bro.
Now I don't know why he said that. I'm not sure. 23-hour lockdown. He asked for help. Now I think like in a mental institution or something like that. I don't know. I've never been to one. Thank God. You know, it could be said that I should be or should have been, but you know, I digress. I don't really know the whole whatever. Okay, I don't know how that works, but just to call and ask for help, to say that he'd be locked up, to me just says that he doesn't trust Hawkins County, and that may be part of the reason for the move. Okay, that may be part of the reason. I don't know that. I'm not going to pretend that I know that, but it could be. But listen again.
No helpline. There is no helpline for me. If I call the helpline in Hawkins County, they're going to come out and arrest me and put me in 23-hour lockdown. That's the helpline I get, bro.
Right. So, you know, you can kind of make, I mean, I'm like I said, I'm not really sure what that means. But he said a couple more things, even a little bit more telling here. And I want you to hear this as well. Let me know if you can hear this. Is that coming through? Is that coming through? I'll make sure it is. Can't hear that? Okay. Here we go. Let me try it like this. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know why it's not exporting, but anyway, I can play that later. But there's a point in the conversation when Don is talking, and it's a very spiritual conversation. Chat is moving fast. I'm sorry. It's not a bad thing, but I get it. Let me see if we can slow it just a little, maybe. I mean, look, there's a lot of members, and thank God for it. I'm okay. So I'm not playing it right now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about it here a little bit. But he claims that CPS is in the chat, like, so not my chat, but the chat that he was in, or the chats that he goes, and he claims that CPS is there. Now, there was a young lady name, her channel name is Angel Talks Too Fast, and on there she shows, I think it's the actual gag order of Don and Candace, where he clearly isn't supposed to be talking about the children. And I watched it myself. It was kind of incredible. A good job on that, by the way. I had never seen it or the terms of it or anything like that. But anyway, so that was and somebody remind me to link them. I'm bad about that. I don't know when their next court date is, but I will tell you this. Don is breaking down. I can hear it in his voice. He doesn't have a lot of fight in him anymore. Now, That could be from a lot of different things. I mean, he's 58. You know, I heard that his back is hurting. I understand all that. I mean, when you're a laborer, like I said, especially when you work with your hands above your head a lot, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he really is hurt. Now, that's his burden, you know, to bear. And I understand that. I totally get it. It's not really my concern. But, and I say this in the nicest way possible. Most people don't care about that. Most people don't want to hear about that. Why? Well, because it's pretty immaterial. We all have our crosses to bear. That's not being mean. That's just telling you the truth. But what he said is, and I'm going to paraphrase it for you. I have it clipped, but for some reason it's not not wanting to help me out here. But anyway, this is what he says. I'm terrified because I don't know what's going to happen next. Now, what does that mean exactly? I don't know. I've never heard him say something like that. I've heard him, but there seems to be some doubt as to what's going on. The relationship between him and CPS doesn't seem like it's good. He, you know, is railing against them, but he absolutely said that he's terrified because he doesn't know what's going to happen next. He said terrified. Now, is he just talking because, you know, what is he talking about specifically? I don't know. I'm confused. I'm confused. Thank you so much for that super sticker. I appreciate it. Tara TJ 007 and Paula Walker. Good to see you. How are you? And did somebody gift memberships? Who did that? Looks like somebody did. Love Pink. Thank you so much, Love Pink. You're such a nice person. You really are. But anyway, so he's terrified of what's going to happen next. And the preamble to that was, I got to be honest with you. I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm terrified of what's going to happen next. But before he even says that, a weirder statement he said, it's not a weirder statement. It's a true statement, but he says, I'm not. Now, this could be Don preaching, or it could be him referencing what's going on, but he says that he's not in control of his life. Now I don't know if that's a godly thing, if that's a church thing. I don't know what it is. But he says, I'm not in control of my life. And then right after that, and he says, and I'm terrified of what's going to happen next. And the only thing that I get out of that is that he may know something more, like it's coming to an end. This CPS case with the boys, if you look at the timeline of a CPS case, somewhere between 18, 24 months. It could, this is right about the wheelhouse, unfortunately, for when these things can get settled. Now, this is even worse because CPS is investigating Summer's disappearance, as well as Hawkins County, as well as TBI, and as well as the FBI on call when they're needed, when they're wanted. Let me see. 818-483-9292 is the number to call if you want to have a take. A truth seeker, I can see you. I can see you. So I don't know. I'm just telling you, I can see you. Let me see. Don't make me call. I'm mad you've been duped. Have I? What happened? Did I get duped? Caller, go ahead. You're on the air. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air. Nope, you're not. You quit. You done already? You out of there? What happened? Hung up? I think that there's some issues going on. But I'm going to try and get this audio really fast again. Did it work? I think it did. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, what's up?
Hey,
yeah, something's definitely going on with your chat.
What's up, man?
It's Garth.
Oh, I know who it is.
Yeah, it's weird, man. It's like repeating over and over and over.
It's been doing that.
Strangest thing I've ever seen.
It's been doing that a lot lately, unfortunately. To everybody, I've noticed that.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, and so like everything kind of keeps getting shuffled and repeated. It is kind of weird.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to let you know.
Okay. I appreciate that, man.
Have any content wise driven to tell you, but
no, I appreciate that. Yeah, it has been. I've noticed that as well. But well, I appreciate it, man.
All right.
We'll talk soon.
It'll work out
for sure.
See.
That's Mr. G Brooks, everybody. Let me see here. Okay, so it worked. Now I'm gonna play it. Let me just load it real fast. Because it's you gotta hear the desperation. Seemed like there was some. Maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong before. Okay, here we go. Got it.
So it's up to God, bro. Not only does CPS see this stuff, they're in the chat. I know they are. I'm not in control of my life at all, but I know that God has the power. And you mark my words, so I'm going to say this on your live, that God has, and I'm scared to death that I don't know what's going to happen next.
Is that just a random statement, or is that a weird statement from somebody who could at some point be held accountable for whatever has gone on? Now, I'm not saying that he is responsible for it. I've always maintained that I do believe that they know much more than they're telling. What exactly, I'm not sure. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, Josh, it's Kelly O.
Hi, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, good. That was the best news ever hearing that. He sounds so desperate.
He does.
As he should be.
Yeah.
because he has a missing daughter,
right?
and he's thinking, yeah, he does.
Yeah.
And I like that because it's time that we find out where Summer went, and the boys get justice, and Summer gets justice, and there's just no two shakes about it, in my opinion.
Right.
So,
right, and a lot of people.
I just want to
feel
tell
that
you,
way.
great job. Yes.
And we're told.
I couldn't imagine
we're told that we're
not
mean.
looking for my daughter. We're not mean. Like, I could not imagine not looking for my daughter for 5 minutes of her being gone. Like, but anyway.
Yeah. Look,
I'm not mean. I think I'm normal.
Yeah.
Thanks for all you do, Josh. You rock.
The call. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Kelly, a friend of the show. Thank you for the call in. Let me play that just again.
So it's up to God, bro. Not only does CPS see this stuff, they're in the chat. I know they are. I'm not in control of my life at all, but I know that God has the power. And you mark my words, because I'm going to say this on your live, that God has, and I'm scared to death that I don't know what's going to happen next.
What do you mean? I'm low. How am I low? Are you talking about my microphone or as a person? I can't tell anymore. Like low? What do you mean low? My sound is low? Is that what it is? Okay. How is it now? Let's try this. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, Josh. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? And was that soap on a rope from you?
I'm sorry. What was it?
I got something in the mail today, and it was very strong, nice smelling soap on a rope.
I don't know.
Okay. It didn't.
One of your guys.
Well, I didn't.
Something about
I didn't see a note. I looked, and I was like, I bet I know who this is. Soap on a rope.
It was one.
Yeah. I walked around all afternoon with it on my wrist.
I wanted to make you laugh.
It was hilarious.
After the last couple of weeks.
It was hilarious. I know it's been a rough couple of weeks.
Yeah, and that was one of the last shows, I think, one of them in between shows, Lab After Dark.
Yes.
That you were cracking, and there was something about prison and not bending over. And
right.
Then I heard something about soap on a rope, and guess what? They do make soap on a rope.
Big time. Big time. Yeah. Yeah, I was explaining how if you were to drop the soap, how you should pick it up if you don't have soap on a rope. And I went into great detail about it as well.
In prison, yes. And the Lab After Dark is a very different.
It's fun. I enjoy it. But I enjoy this too as well. I enjoy the people here. I do enjoy the show.
Amazon screwed me. Amazon screwed me. There was a note. But it was basically to hope that it would cheer you up because I know it has been a rough. I'm good. He does sound desperate. For the first time, I have to finally admit, I hear his voice cracking and breaking, which I've never heard him in any phrases or sentences have that happen.
Right.
Even talking about Summer, his voice never broke. You know what I mean? There's a couple of spots there. Now, again, he could be dehydrated. Who knows if he's smoking crack? I don't know. I'm being kind saying that the voice breaking is indicative of an emotional state.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think so too. I've never heard him. I've heard him very confident, but life, say Don, and I'm saying hypothetically, say Don has nothing to do with this. It's going to beat him down no matter what. Say he has something to do with this. It's going to beat him. It's going to beat him down. Either way, it takes a major toll on you.
He's blaming everyone else for reality. because the attention drawn to this case and the atypicalness of them, everything about Dawn in his past has come home to roost. Everything's come full circle for him. I mean, I hate to say this, and if you take Summer out, like Summer is the catalyst for everything. She's revealed everything.
Right.
So we wouldn't even have known these two atypical, probably abusive, degenerate, emotionally immature, you know, you can use any word you want, not parents. With all due respect, that things came around in a full circle for both of them. Though Candace seems to be creating, and a little younger, trying to create a new persona.
Right.
We'll leave that one alone.
And you think,
but Dawn is an
that's
old,
what they're doing?
I think personally, Candace is trying to recreate herself as usual. I think you're right. Dawn's an old 58. He's not a regular 58.
No, absolutely. I mean, he even admits he's broken down. And you know, drinking, drugs, and hard working. And by the way, I'm not saying he doesn't work hard. That's not an easy job. It's a tough
that's
job.
the job he has is a demanding job that physically would wear you down without all the other crap that he's participated in, emotionally and physically.
Right.
Correct? Isn't drywalling with the stilts a very physically demanding job?
I think he's a finisher, which I think is a little different than like putting up drywall, but it is demand. Yes, it's demanding. Maybe he does it all. I don't know. From what I understand,
but okay.
But just from what
doesn't
I
he have to go on the stilts?
I think so. Yeah.
Does he get on stilts?
I think he does,
exactly. I mean, what? So when he wasn't in stilts and running scams and not working, he was doing a job that is just beyond physically demanding and ages you, and then you add in everything else, emotionally and physically, with the drugs, the drinking, you know. When I say emotional, like just the fact that you've been in jail, I mean, I wouldn't know, but I would think for some people, if it's become often, and then of course the kids, I mean, they say they don't care. I don't know what's up with him. I think you're right. I think he's an old 58. Candace still has life left in her somehow, some way. She's a survivor. Dawn was too, but his 58, someone else's 78.
I agree with that. I mean, and like I said, I absolutely believe that it is taking a major toll on him mentally, physically, and if you even want to go there, spiritually. I do. And it seems to take more of a toll on him than it does on Candace. Now, I could be completely wrong about that as well, but we don't, you know,
the way they portray.
Yes. Yeah. It's a very interesting dynamic. What's happening there? And
look at her age, though. Her age, she might have lived a long life, but if she's emotionally as immature as has been noticed, she's like a kid. So she's still growing up. She can constantly compartmentalize and reinvent herself.
Yeah, I don't know if there's much more. I get what you're saying, but I think when you're at that point, you do kind of stop developing. You're done. You know what I mean? Like, it's called encapsulation. So if you do drugs and alcohol when you're young, your mind stops developing.
Yeah, and a teenager can keep going and reinventing themselves.
Well, have you ever met a 45-year-old that acts like a teenager that's done drugs? And all they do is talk about, the past this and the past that.
The enablers are giving her a smile, are giving her a chance to be heard, to laugh and be part of something that she was probably pretty isolated up on that hill with those kids and with her bad habits, not making excuses whatsoever.
Nope, nobody said you are.
And she didn't sound like the most social person, and suddenly she's busting out all over as almost a social butterfly.
Well, that's
on that
channel. They give her a safe haven. They gave her a place to where if she is attacked, she's protected. and she feels comfortable there because
Sure.
yeah. And I mean, I can't, I couldn't blame her. If I was in her position, I'd probably have to do the same thing too. You know?
Yeah, but they're not typical. It's so hard to compare typical parenting, typical citizen, typical anything. I mean, with like, I don't know, whatever typical is. I don't like the word normal. There's really no such thing as normal.
Right.
Well, normal.
Right.
But typical is like what you expect from people doing certain things at a certain time in their life as parents, as citizens, as what do you call I can't think of the word. Employer, employee, at what age they are, blah, blah, blah. They don't fit any boxes, let's face it. I personally don't know anyone that even comes close. And the only other people I could compare to, like a Brandy or even back in the day, Ash Walsh's, like nothing, Polly Class, nothing, not even close.
I think that they're a part of that
That's
organization too, by the way. Or,
I saw
or the
that,
support
and then
group or something.
yeah, something came up recently about it, and there's actually a little video somewhere on YouTube, not sure by whom, and it was really kind of what it's like old clips of him saying what you need to do. I'm so sorry, and like they've done none of it. I mean, it's the point. But this is terrible, and I say this every time I call, I'm done. Remember, okay, in 2 years I've called like 6 times, and every 5 months I've said I'm done.
Yeah, well, you know, like I have not been covering this case nearly the amount that I was, just because first and foremost, it's tiring to do a show like this, and then you know, you get a lot of support and you get a lot of backlash, and both of them can be overwhelming. I've gotten pretty good at not caring about the backlash at all anymore, but you know, it is a big responsibility to talk about this.
Yeah, thick-skinned armadillo or something. You made a point about it not too long ago. You've really like had to. You have to,
or it just doesn't. It'll just, you know, look how many people have ran off from this.
With all due respect, Candace's best friend right now is the example of a thin skin. And do as I say, not as I do.
Those are your words, not mine. She'll come for me. Just kidding.
I'm sorry, Josh. I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, I know. Well, when you're going to take a stance like that, you're going to get drilled. It happens to all of us.
Yeah.
You know, and you got to expect that.
Little Dawn victim. Yeah, there's almost a victim going on there too. But that's another story. Who cares? I mean, whatever. Yeah, but when I don't even go over there.
But when you take a strong stance, you're gonna catch crap. I catch it too.
Religion and on true crime sides, yeah.
The problem is I've kind of started to like it. You know, it's actually like it's boosted me. It's like, yeah, nice. You can't just
because it's
no, because it pisses people off just because I don't agree with them, and just because I do things the way that I want to do it. I talk about things that I want to talk about, and people show up to listen to me talk. That pisses some people off, and I like that.
And I have to tell you, just maybe 2 sentences ago or whatever, 2 seconds ago, said that I've not been following this case. I hate to say it right now. What case?
Right.
All we know is that the parents have been all over YouTube. They're all talking left and right. They're not in the state of Tennessee. So are they running? I think they're running. I think he's trying to be closer to, I think the daughter lives there. Get work and get the hell out of Dodge. And again, I'm not criticizing law enforcement like other people, Hawkins County and CBI, because again, we do not know what they have. Everyone says, oh, they'd be arrested by now. That's not true.
That's not true at all.
We realize
that's one of the biggest farces I've heard.
red wine. You were the one that said, was it 7 or 9 years?
It was 8 years and 9 years for conviction. He was a person of interest in the case, or they never named a suspect for the first 2 years. Then I think it was around at the 2-year mark, they did name him a person of interest, and they had just been building a case. And it took a long time. And I remember the sheriff, when they indicted Mark Redwine, said, you know, the wheels of justice are slow, but they do turn. And, you know, people said the same thing. Why not arrest him? Why not arrest him? Why not arrest him?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
and I think it's really hard because,
no, go ahead.
They said that, like, with shows like SCU and CSI, and we're so bombarded with those type of shows that everything is figured out and prosecuted and guilty within a nice, 48 period.
Right.
Like, so people now come to some expectation. But I bet if you went across tons of cases, missing and murdered, but definitely missing, nothing has ever been done in any court of law, because there's just something not, if you don't have the evidence, how can you move forward? Like, so we don't know that. I'm just saying there's probably so many more cases that are similar to this, and we just don't know it.
Yeah, and that's another thing too.
Not to say you won't get justice.
Right, but it hasn't
But
developed.
it's just likely, at this point, I'm 50-50.
Well, the way Dawn makes it
And it has
seem
nothing
is
to
like
do with law enforcement.
the way that Dawn makes it seem is that law enforcement has looked at them from day one and they haven't stopped. And they were very accusatory of him and Candace as well. They wanted to say, you know, what's going on? What'd you do with your daughter? And
who say either way? Again, I call that 50-50.
Say that again.
Like, seriously, like, I called Dawn's account of that 50-50 as well.
Right.
They could be accusatory and he did nothing, or they could be accusatory based on his past. I'm more concerned about the way things were handled with Candace. I don't even like saying her name. I'm sorry. Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Because of the whole thing about how she stayed in the house and she was on the phone and she wouldn't talk to, like, so that's all kind of weird. Even though they try to explain it as her being distraught or, I don't know, introverted or all this other stuff. That's so strange.
I just find it completely odd that they never looked. And they say that they did. I haven't seen, I mean, I've talked to locals that were like, I mean, you know, it's not like they watch them 24/7, but you know, you would think that if you're going to look for your child, you would put together a group of people and do that.
They're not typical, but so often they're not typical. They're not going to think like a typical person. And they're not going to look for, I'm sorry, I'm yelling. They're not going to look for what other people have done. Look at how he spoke to Candy when she tried to help. So there's something just, some wheel is not turning, or they are 100% responsible. Somebody. I can't, you know, I've decided that I may never know. And, you know, he said some really strange things, but he's strange. So she said almost, which sometimes I wonder. It's, and the other thing that I have on my mind, and it just dawned on me recently, you know, Dawn on Marblehead. You don't live around here, so that's a joke. Never mind. That's the actual town by the ocean, so Marblehead, you know.
Right.
Okay, like Ray. Yeah. Remember how the roof story just suddenly popped up?
Yeah, I do remember, unfortunately.
Let's just say, what if one of the boys by accident? Would you ever speak or talk about it if you were them, given everything we know about them? They would protect their boys, I think. or boy.
Yeah, maybe.
Suddenly I'm starting to wonder, because that would be the reason they would clam up. What I still don't get, and maybe because he really doesn't know, is the whole line about him reaching out to Facebook and social media and getting on YouTube at the beginning. To help. That's his idea of helping to get the word out. Nothing about it is a playbook, typical playbook, I suppose,
Right.
for finding a missing child.
No.
And he blames everybody, like including the police at the beginning, not believing him.
There is some, and by the way, weaponizing your child like that, I've always felt was wrong in a big way. Like now, I don't know. I just think it's so, I don't know. I'm not sure.
You mean like that her downfall was being outside, or the older boy with the hand around the neck in front of you gotta remember, I'm not making excuses. These are not typical parents. They did nothing from that was, and I don't mean to laugh, because
no, and I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I do.
I think the problem is people think about what they would do, and that's why we always get in trouble. Typical common sense, like regular old, nobody would ever do what they did, or at least know about it, because they've been all over. Like they've publicized themselves only.
Yeah, and that's what's made this case so strange. Is the behavior after the fact.
Both. The only can of worms opened were about the two of them, and they're upset that their whole life has gotten out. Well, duh.
Yeah, they put it out there. And by the way, you know, everybody says, you should stop covering the case. You stop covering the case. Well, Don and Candace are on YouTube every single night.
Okay. I'm going to end the redemption tour. # the redemption tour. You came up with that.
Yeah, the redemption tour. Exactly. It's like when the Dream Team lost in the Olympics, and then they were like, we're going back at it even harder, and they have. Dawn has, excuse me, not Candace. Candace isn't doing anything but hanging out with friends and whatever. But anyway, I got another call. I appreciate your call and the soap on the rope. Really, thank you.
Thank you, and I'm glad you're back up and running.
Thank you.
Have a really good night.
All
and
right.
I take up too much time.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Glad
Karen, one of the great callers of the show. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hello.
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 I'm pissed off, Josh, man. I've had these tornadoes come through here this week in Southwest Virginia, and I don't know how many lab after darks I've missed.
Not very many.
Oh, okay.
I've only done a few. I've only done a few. I haven't been broadcasting
but
much
still,
lately.
and my internet's still all messed up. I had the company to come check it. They're claiming, oh, it's fine, and no, it's not.
I know everybody's having
not.
issues.
A tornado sucks. I'm sorry about the word sucks, but the tornadoes just ain't helping out.
Sounds like the
and
word.
I'm going to tell you something else. Not here in Tennessee, but where I lived before for years, Tennessee. Okay, at this point, Tennessee is not going to believe Don and Candace it was an accident. Now, in the beginning, it could have been. But since this is a 2-year, ongoing process, ongoing, if you get to catch my hint, in the end, they're not going to believe it was an accident. Now, if they reported it from day one, yes. But you know what I mean? After a while, law enforcement just doesn't buy it's an accident. I don't know if that's just the state of Tennessee and how they may work things. And here's 2 other points I wanted to bring out. if you didn't do anything wrong, you're not guilty. Why you run from the state of Tennessee? And two, I ain't listening to work and blah, 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 blah. They're making themselves look guiltier. And two, why would you care if CPS was in the chat? Somebody tell me. Maybe the tornado got to me this past week. I don't know. Somebody just talk to me for a minute about this. If you were law enforcement, Josh, for years, would you believe after so many years it was an accident?
I've always thought that it was, but where the accident stops is not the reporting.
Tennessee's not going to. Right.
That's where the accident goes away. And Kelly O, thank you so much for gifting. She gifted 20 memberships. Can you believe that? That's a lot of memberships.
Oh, holy crap. Good job, Kelly O.
Nice
I'll have to give her a shout out. Gifted 20 memberships. Yo.
Very nice. And Love Pink gifted 5, and it's very fantastic. But no,
good job.
I think the accident is only an accident when the accident happens, and then after the accident happens,
yes,
if you don't report it,
I think they accidentally sold her. I'm sorry, but it wasn't an accident. It was a familiar sale or whatever you call that. Yeah, y'all know the words.
Yeah.
I'm mentally ill. I don't exactly put my words together.
Well, where do you? I mean, don't you think that you don't think that the card team would pick up on something like that?
Oh yes, they're hoping that sooner or later Tennessee's just going to say, "Okay, we buy it as an accident. Come on in. Let's see what we could do about that." No. And not even Ronnie Lawson in his 44 years on the force. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, it's just an accident only works when you report it when it's done.
Correct.
Exactly.
Correct.
So what are they, okay, insane thinking, are y'all aware of what insane thinking is? That's what these two whales and those that coddle them are doing. You know what insane thinking is? Anybody? No? Okay. Insane thinking is
I'm the only one here.
Thinking the same thing over and over, but you want a different result.
Right.
Well, they're not going to.
Well,
they're not going to. I mean,
they have brought up to them many times cases of accidents. Don's told me that. And Don's like, that's not what this is. And I mean, to be fair to Don, he's been very steadfast in his story. I mean, it does there are some variations to it. And the problem with being so steadfast on a story, though, is it feels rehearsed.
Yes. But for somebody who first started this all out, like making statements like, prison ain't nothing to me. I was born and raised there, or whatever. You know the statements that was first coming out. Now he's suddenly terrified. Gosh, I'm a little confused.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean?
I agree with you. I am too.
I mean, and I would be terrified if I was going there based on something happened to a child in my care or what have you. And no, I'm not blaming anybody. Y'all just put my words together because I'm trying to in my head, but you know what I mean. I would be terrified at this point as well. But I would have been terrified from the start. And I would have reported what I think an accident happened and it's been covered up. But now Tennessee is not going to just pat them on the back and say, well, y'all, I tell you what, Don and Candace, y'all just come on in here, man. It was an accident. We'll take it from there.
Well, I know, and a lot of people come down hard, but on law enforcement and stuff, I don't think that law enforcement has any intentions of letting Don and Candace make fools out of them.
Right.
I really don't.
Right. And another
so
thing,
if they had something to do with it, they're going to come down on them.
Yes. And I honestly believe something else. They might be, how do I say this? A nobody thing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of parents these days, or guilty people, think nobody, nothing happened, which in a lot of states, that's true. If they cannot find a body, nothing happened. Well, Tennessee doesn't work that way. So, and then we all know these nobody cases take a little bit longer.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, and all great points. And like I said, I don't think that law enforcement has any intention of, if Don and Candace had something to do with the disappearance of their daughter, I don't think that law enforcement is interested in any way in letting them slide. I just don't.
What do you think? They think law enforcement's going to eventually believe it's a cover up and coddle them or something?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, did that make sense?
No, Don
Yeah, I
hates
don't think
Hawkins
so
County law enforcement, which, by the way, tells me a little something as well.
Well, I mean,
I know you hate him too.
I've been in trouble. Well, I hate's a strong word.
Well, it sure is.
I think he is. Oh my, he's feeling. It's getting to him.
Well, we'll just have to.
Yeah.
There should be some developments, you would think, right around this 2-year mark. I'm hoping. So let's just keep our fingers crossed, and
they could be waiting to see how the boys' case turns out.
It's sounding more and more likely that's
because
the case.
Detective Pruitt's number one point was it's bleeding over. No. The CPS case ain't bleeding over. It's right in there with it. It's done bled over.
I was going to say it done bled out into the whole thing. Definitely.
Yeah.
I agree.
mean, in fact, I think that's part of it. That's it right there. I mean, and I've been one to say in chats, and people know, single mom 4, I hold back nothing. I felt like Ronnie Lawson may have had a little bit of something to do with this at the beginning, with coddling them and stuff like that. But I'm going to just have to take that back. Josh, I know when I'm wrong, and I'm wrong.
There you go. Hey, nothing wrong with that. And I appreciate your call as always. It's been a while since you called.
Yeah, it has been. It's been a minute. Well, these tornadoes like to hang around. Please don't have another lab after dark while I'm having a tornado. Do you mind?
I'll check the weather.
In Southwest Virginia. Yeah, right. I'd appreciate it.
Thank you so much for calling.
I'm just kidding. Man, I love you. Love the show.
Oh,
all right.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Single mama 4. Always a fun talk. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. You there? Maybe not.
Hello.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air. No, you're not there. Okay, well, drop that one. Let's see. Hold on. We're going to get somebody. We're going to get. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. First time I've actually watched your show, and first time I'm calling in, but
this is one of the saddest situations I think I have ever seen on any of these true crime with these missing children.
Yeah. How so?
And it just
The story itself
breaks my heart. Yeah, I mean the whole thing. You know, you've got this child that's missing. You're dealing with a small rural Tennessee town where law enforcement probably doesn't have to deal with this on a regular basis. They may or may not know what to do and how to handle these type of things. You've also got parents who've had issues with law enforcement and struggles in their own life that have involved arrests, convictions, jail time, CPS involved with them raising their children. So where do you even start to know who's guilty or who's innocent? And you're going to have both sides questioning both sides. So the parents are going to question law enforcement. Of course, law enforcement's going to look at the parents because of the history.
Yeah, but was law enforcement in possession of Summer when she went missing?
No, they were not. The parents were.
Correct.
But did they know how? Did they know how to truly investigate this?
Well, they called in.
You know how many?
They called in many agencies to help them.
Yeah.
Which is the right move because they are small. I mean, it is a small sheriff's department. It's not. Yeah, no, of course not. They don't deal with this kind of stuff. It's not some like inner city, or it's not just these densely populated areas, which makes it even more strange. But let me counter you really quick here. When you say where do you start with who's guilty? I mean, you start where everybody else is, the head of the snake.
Yes.
And when you don't move down from the
agree.
head of the snake, you know what I'm saying? They haven't moved off of that, meaning this whole everybody's a suspect thing, which by the way, it is no more. All that is the sheriff kind of going like, yeah, everybody's a suspect. Like, you know, I'm not gonna give you guys, you know, what you want to run with, which is fine. But yeah, everybody's a suspect, meaning the people that were in charge of Summer or around Summer, or, you know, that's always been my thing. Could Don and Candace be innocent? Of course they could be, but they
haven't done anything to make themselves not look so guilty.
The way that they went about it from day one, the way that they went about it from day one has been suspicious, and it's been off-putting for a lot of people. And that's why people talk about this case.
Well, you know, and I guess that's one thing I've talked about law enforcement and the guilty, you know, when I first, you know, said the experience that lack of experience that law enforcement has on these type of situations. Their law enforcement's experience with Don and Candace, when they went to them at first, did they put I'm just going to pretend, totally innocent Don and Candy in a defensive position because of their experience with them? I'm just wondering if everything up front could have been handled better to make it to where everybody was really open in searching for a missing child.
Well,
I don't know.
So,
you know,
when a child goes missing in someone's home, they're going to put them, they're going to be like, you know, hey, you guys were here last. Together.
Yeah. You were responsible. You were in the care and custody of that child. Oh, yeah.
And they pay attention to not only what they're saying. They pay attention to their past, whether people think that's right or wrong. That's why people have rap sheets, because you can go, hey, look, you're telling me that a bank robber robbed another bank or something, something like that's why people have rap sheets. That's why law enforcement goes by that. And then they also go by behavior. And in my opinion, they failed. They had failed all three from the jump.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I mean, just the lack of consistency in the stories. It's you hear so many different stories of, where she was, what she was doing, where, what she was wearing. It's like I said, it's one of the saddest situations I've ever seen as to somebody, especially the people that were in the care and custody, really freaking out looking for this child.
Right.
I've never been in that situation, thank God, and hope I never am. But I just can't imagine not being so totally freaked out that you're fighting anybody and everybody to find your child.
I find it odd. And this is in people, this is the kind of people that, kind of go against when they say, well, we don't jump to conclusions. Why did Candace take 2 weeks to even get on camera and didn't plead, but talk about the disappearance? Why did it take Candace 2 weeks to almost literally be forced to do it? Is shocking to me.
Yeah, because I'd have been grabbing every camera.
Oh
I'd been grabbing every camera to put in my face, screaming like I said, I'd have made a fool out of myself. They'd have had to commit me. They would have hauled me off the straitjacket.
I've watched it. I've watched parents where they're pleading for their child and they're holding a picture of them. That they're everywhere. 13 days, Amy King says. 13 days. And that's for the people that go, well, there's no evidence against them. Sir, I'm telling you right now, all of that stuff comes up in a court of law. Circumstantial evidence is just as good as physical evidence, and behavioral evidence, which is circumstantial, guilty knowledge or acting guilty. Like like in Koberger's case for the Idaho 4, the guy's taking trash out, scrubbing his car. Is that normal for somebody to do? Yeah. Is it normal for him to do? Is that something he does on a regular? No.
Well, what gets me is, okay, so let's look at the Koberger case. Everybody jumped on this. Now I understand it was, murder. It was gruesome. It was the 4 people. But why has there not been, as much as YouTube still talks about poor little old Summer Wells, why has FBI or all these agencies, why are they not still hot on that trail and putting pressure continually on the people that can give them answers? Because there's been so many cases since then where there's nobody's found. There's not stuff that been prosecuted and gone to trial. Been gone to trial and been prosecuted.
I just
when people can't give the answers, you see what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, I just don't get it. I just don't get how law enforcement, whoever's been brought in, has let this go to the point where there's the inconsistencies in the stories. They took the other 2 kids away. CPS had been out there recently and supposedly still had open cases. None of that has been confirmed.
They don't
as far as I know.
They honestly, I don't think that they need our help, our tips, or anything. I don't think they're interested in them. I think they have everything that they're going to get I mean, I think that they obviously what they want to do is find Summer. But other than that, I think that I think that they have a pretty decent idea going on, a pretty decent idea of what's going on, and the lack of updates would suggest to me that they have who they have in mind, but because they're not asking people, hey, we've developed this lead, we've developed that lead, we've developed this lead. They would be asking the public for help. And if that's not the case, then I don't know what the hell they've been doing. But I do believe that they have stuff because they're not updating, and it's not because the case is cold. It's because there's a very two active investigations, one that seems like it's coming to a close at some point soon, and one that seems like it has something to do with the other investigation, if that makes any sense.
Well, yeah, it does. I'm not a patient person.
Who is? It's a hard
I mean,
thing
I'm
to
just
do.
kind of like, let's move on with this. Let's get her done. I mean, it's like this has just gone on long enough, and of course there's always the, and you always hope that this is true in every case, all the way to the Koberger case, that you've got your evidence, you can go in, you can convict, and you can get her done, But this,
I want you to listen.
I
want you to listen to this again. Just listen to this for me really fast.
So it's up to God, bro. Not only does CPS see this stuff, they're in the chat. I know they are. I'm not in control of my life at all, but I know that God has the power. And you mark my words, so I'm going to say this on your live, that God has, and I'm scared to death that I don't know what's going to happen next.
What do you take from that?
I have to go with something that I have seen several YouTube creators that have followed this way closer than I have. Allegedly, I can't help but think that something happened under Candace's watch. I think it was negligence. I really, in my heart, hope that it was not something that was intentional, but I think with all their past issues and problems that they had, that when something did occur, rather than bring it to attention, it was covered up, and I hate to say that, and then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then it becomes to a point to where, it's too late. Damage is done. I can't go back and tell the truth now. Nobody would believe me. I just, like I said, it is one of the saddest situations. And I think that when it all comes, or I hope that when it comes, everything comes out, it is truly just a horrible, sad situation that got out of control. There was no intent for harm, but unfortunately, due to negligence, harm occurred.
Right.
And
I agree with you. I mean, that's how I feel too. That's how I feel too.
I mean, because, I mean, you stop and think about it. Look, I've known people all my life, and I'm old and decrepit now, that they never intended for anything bad to happen, but they weren't in good enough control of themselves and their own life to be raising children and be responsible for children. And with every good intention they may have had in their heart, they just couldn't make it happen. And I mean, I can't help but wonder if that poor child that day she went and was swimming, I didn't know there was such a thing as dry drowning until just the past maybe 10 years. And something like that could have happened.
It's so rare.
It's something that I know, but you never know. I mean, and
it's not rare leaving kids in hot cars, abusing children.
Yes, I know.
This whole, they're like, oh, there was an accident. Maybe there was. Maybe I hope not, but God forbid she slipped and hit her head and wasn't doing well. Whatever happened obviously was criminal, and it meaning it wasn't reported in time. It wasn't
that's the criminal
handled
part,
properly. Whatever happened was not handled properly, or she was abducted. And I just don't believe she was. I do not believe she was abducted by a stranger.
I'm sorry, but you just other than the little situation where the little girl, was abducted by the UPS driver, that was a rural situation. And I can't remember what state that was in. Was it Oklahoma or somewhere out there where the little girl, the UPS driver, took her and killed her?
Yeah, the Athena.
Yes.
Forget her last name. Poor little girl.
You just in situations in rural areas, you normally don't see abductions because I just don't think that's where a lot of people are riding around looking for kids. That's where you would go to a neighborhood where you have a bigger chance of seeing kids playing in the yard and you grab one. I just, I don't know. I don't know. But
so this is the first time you've ever watched my show ever?
It is.
Oh.
Well, I've seen you when I've gone through YouTube and everything, and I may have clicked on it for just a minute or two and everything, but tonight I was just kind of looking, and some of the regulars that I watched, nobody was live, and I was like, okay, well, I've heard him mentioned, and let me click on there and everything, and then I was listening, and I was like, okay, well, this is a truly no high speculations of to overly assuming, this, that, and the other, because none of us know.
I agree with that.
We speculate all day long, and we don't know. And I try to look for the best case scenario. I try not to assume people are guilty or innocent or whatever. I try to go based off of what I hear. But like I said up front, this is one of the saddest, mind-blowing situations I have ever seen that appears to be going nowhere. I hope there's a lot going on behind the scenes because, this poor child, she deserves better at this point. 2 years. I mean, going on 2 years, and now all these YouTubers going on nuts about what all's going on with these people going there to do their different
imagine having that much time in your day to worry about what other people are doing.
Exactly. I'm like, why are y'all so worried about what somebody else is doing when all I look at it as, look, all of these people, whether they're doing it for the right reason or for the wrong reason, God will sort them out in the end. Okay.
There you go.
I'm
sure some are doing it for the right reason. I'm sure some are doing it for the wrong reason, but it's just like, who cares?
And if they're doing it for the wrong reason, God will take care of them in the end. Don't worry about it.
No, they're the
it's not my problem. It's not their problem.
They're the internet police. Shing, get out of here.
Oh, I know.
It's funny. It actually cracks me up. It's kind of embarrassing too.
I think. Yeah, well, it's gotten to the point it's absolutely hilarious because they're just trying to get there to be some drama there.
Oh, I get slammed really? Every time I go live.
Well, I love watching the people that, and you can tell it doesn't take long at all to tell who is in it for the right reasons and who's in it for the wrong reasons. And even some of the people in it for the right reasons go to the dark side because they get mixed up in all that drama.
Right.
It's all about this poor baby girl. And whether she is dead or alive, it is still about her and justice for her and for the truth to come out. You know, and that's all it is. And like I said, it breaks my heart. Just like that little monkey Vaughn. Where is that poor child? You know,
yeah.
It's just so heartbreaking.
Well,
I
I appreciate, and I hope that you call back, and I enjoyed talking to you. What state you calling from?
Mississippi.
Okay. So you're Southern.
Yeah, I'm a Southern girl.
Yeah, that's Southern right there. Well, I appreciate your phone call and your thoughts, and you know, hopefully you stick around.
We can only just pray. We can only just pray that these children are found and justice is served, and that's all we can do, and hope for the best for everybody involved.
I agree with that. Thank you so much for your call.
And thank you for what you do.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
First time caller. Great call. This will be the last call here. Let me see what we got. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi, Josh.
Hello.
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 Hello, Josh.
Yep, this is Josh.
Yes, I was just wondering today if Don was on the panel with his Canadian friends.
Uh-huh.
And preaching.
Very nice.
And then they asked, did he buy the Xbox or whatever for the kids? And he said no, because he's in disagreement with CPS right now because he got stopped for driving revoked, and they have gone to the judge and told the judge a bunch of crap about him, so he can't do anything about seeing or talking to the kids right now.
Well, as far as I am to understand, I don't know what the hell he thought he was ever going to be able to give to them. They're not allowed to have contact. He said that I heard a little bit. I heard that part. And from what I understand is that they're just not to have any contact with the boys. I don't think that they're allowed to give them anything. I don't think that they're allowed to call them. And you know, to me, that whole thing, I don't know. I think that people were raising money for them because they felt bad for them. And then this whole thing about, buying the boys an Xbox, I didn't think that was ever even an option, to be honest with you. I've never expected them to do that because I don't think that they're allowed to. I'm not saying that they would or they wouldn't, but I don't think that they're allowed to.
Well, I don't believe they are either, but at least he ratted himself out again.
Yeah.
And blamed it on CPS because since he got out of jail, he has been stopped for driving revoked.
Right. Well, I'm surprised he has a license at all. For, people that get DUIs usually get their license yanked for quite some time, don't they?
Yes.
And I don't think that's his first DUI.
Oh, of course it's not. And so then he said Candace is helping him some, but she's mostly spending time with his daughter.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think maybe it could be a farewell tour. It could be. I mean, he doesn't look like he's in a good place. He doesn't sound like the Don from a year and a half ago. He sounds beat down, and he sounds a little more desperate, maybe, you know, like this.
No helpline. There is no helpline for me. If I call the helpline in Hawkins County, they're going to come out and arrest me and put me in 23-hour lockdown. That's the helpline I get, bro.
Now, I don't know why they would do that, but it doesn't sound very promising because, you know, anybody call a helpline, you would expect to receive help and not to be locked up. There's something.
Of course you would. You know, that's another pity party.
Yeah.
You know, I think they are at the end of the line.
I think so too. I truly do. I think that they're running out of rope.
We all just.
I mean, you can only blame so many people. You can only blame so many people, and all of them fall through until it all boomerangs back to you. Because not one single and people say this, what piece of evidence do we have? Well, let me tell you this. Every single person that Don and Candace have said could have something to do with this, nothing's ever happened. And by the way, they wouldn't have to wait for them because whoever it is, would be a child abductor. So you could just go get them right away. You wouldn't have to wait for a CPS case. Every person they've pointed at, nothing has ever worked out. Nothing. Matter of fact, it's only pissed them off. It's pissed a lot of people off that they felt like that they were set up by Don and Candace, or, you know, pointed their finger at Don and Candace. And, you know, that's where the stuff really starts to get. I mean, he accused his sisters of doing this. He accused Chris McDonough and his sisters. By the way, Chris didn't even know who he was until after, but he accused Chris McDonough of conspiring with the sisters to steal Summer to make him look bad.
Exactly. And if they really wanted to find Summer, they would link with Chris McDonough.
Well, they're not. I don't believe they're even linked with.
They're not to be found.
I don't even think that they're linked with law enforcement, but they say they are. So I'll take them at their word. But I just don't think that communication line is open. And so, is this your first time calling?
Yes, it is.
Love first time callers. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I'm from Alabama.
We got the South is in the house, folks.
The South is in the house. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
I love your show. I think you're true to your morals, and this is just a bad situation. But I have 3 grown children and 3 grandchildren, and believe you me, there would be no rest in my house, in the police department, with the FBI, with the TBI. It doesn't matter who, I would not rest. And I would be shouting from the rooftop. It's like I said, don't mess with my cubs.
Amen to that. I hear you. Well, I appreciate your phone call. I hope you call again. And
I will, and thank you so much, Josh, for what you're doing and keeping Summer's name alive. You do a good job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So about an hour from now, we got a lab after dark. You'll probably like it. Maybe you won't. I don't know if you will. I'm going to do something I rarely do. I'm going to review somebody because I think it's hilarious, and can't wait to do it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not going to tell you who it is, what it is, but you know, some may like it, some may not. I think that, we'll see how it goes. I appreciate you all being here. Thank you for the gifted memberships. Thank you for the resubbing for memberships. I appreciate you guys so much. The super chats, just showing up here, supporting this channel. I'm sorry I haven't been on much. We'll get that changed. And I love when you guys call in. It's been fantastic. So I'll see you here probably in about an hour. I think an hour.
We're live on the air, so don't say any F's and stuff.
Take care. Thank you.
But I have to put her on the side and worry about the boys because they're still here.
Nobody's. You're not a cop. No, you're.
Think I don't love my daughter or something, like you're holier than now or something?
There is no investigation.
No helpline. There is no helpline for me. If I call the helpline in Hawkins County, they're going to come out and arrest me and put me in 23-hour lockdown. That's the helpline I get, bro. So it's up to God, bro. Not only does CPS see this stuff, they're in the chat. I know
Live from the MBD Production Studios, you're in the lab with your host, Joshua Diaz.
But I know that God has.
There is no investigation. This boy has. This young man.
I really, honestly, I'm scared to death, but I don't know what's going to happen next.